for survival in the capital of England. Let's face the reality. The dream of owning a home in the city, once a symbol of prosperity in the West, has officially collapsed. The London housing market today is no longer a place of residence. It has transformed into a massive asset extraction machine operating under a ruthless mechanism, continuously shifting money from the pockets of workers to the layers of landowners. Let's look at the telling numbers. While the average renter in the United Kingdom has to tighten their belt to pay 41% of their net income on housing, in London this figure has been pushed to the breaking point, 48%. The average salary per capita in the capital, despite being the highest in the country at £37,600 per year, is completely powerless and crushed by the average rent of £1,370 per month. According to macroeconomic theory, when the rent-to-income ratio exceeds 40%, a household will fall into a state of basic living cost shortfall. A single peak time ticket in Zone 1 has skyrocketed to £3.10. Even a train on the Elizabeth line to Heathrow Airport currently costs £15.50. This is the cruel suburban trap. Because they cannot afford the housing costs in the city centre, the working class is pushed out to zones 3 to 6. So they immediately get hit with a legal commuting tax. A person in Zone 6 commuting into the city every day has to throw away more than £3,264 a year just to buy a train pass. Since 2008, intercity ticket prices have increased by more than 50% in real terms. Bus fares have increased by 20% compared to 2005. Meanwhile, the chart of residents' real wages remains as stagnant as a desperate line. This system is making you pay more to endure worse experiences. And what is that experience? That is the fact that nearly a third of the passengers traveling into the city centre each morning have to stand for the entire long journey. It's no surprise that Yet in London, all 32 boroughs have surpassed this alarm threshold. The peak of financial depletion is most severe in districts such as Hackney at 60.6%, Haringey at 58.7%, and Barking and Dagenham at 56.8%. What are the consequences? A complete disappearance of the young middle class. The Housing Affordability Index here has reached an extreme level of 10.6. To own a house, a young person with an average income needs to save an additional £279,000 in cash combined with a mortgage loan that is 5 times their income. Since when did the right to have a roof over one's head become such a luxury? Meanwhile, areas like Kensington and Chelsea have skyrocketed to a ridiculous HAI of 25.2, officially turning them into the exclusive sanctuaries of oligarchs and international tax-optimizing investment funds. For a worker earning the national living wage of around £23,810 per year, they have to face the harsh reality that the price of a house is 12.4 times their total annual income. Work unpaid overtime and 46% have to take on a second job just to make ends meet. Moreover, we are living in a digital trap. Slack and Microsoft Teams have blurred the lines between rest and work, forcing the brain to be on alert 24/7. Echoing this is the toxic hustle and grind culture on LinkedIn, forcing people to constantly boast about their fake busyness, leading to imposter syndrome and severe burnout. What kind of mega city are we building where millions of people live next to each other but gradually wither away in atomized loneliness? When success is measured by the number of unpaid accounts for 9 out of 10 of the busiest and most congested railroad stations in the entire United Kingdom. The system report revealed a shocking figure. 41.3% of London residents exhibit extremely high levels of anxiety when using public transport. The top 3 factors clearly identified as destroying passenger morale are overcrowding, noise pollution, and antisocial behavior. This exhaustion spares no one, not even those who operate the machines. In 2025, TfL employees took a total of nearly 419,000 sick days. More concerning, 30% of their long-term absences directly stem from depression and trauma due to excessive work pressure. But the infrastructure hell doesn't stop underground. Stepping out of the station, you immediately confront the fear of gang violence and the constant threat of knife attacks. Along with that, there is the public theft of phones using electric bicycles with over 117,000 cases. 4. Personal weakness. This is a systemic pandemic where the pressure of survival weighs heavily on a cold and atomized urban structure. Let's start with the most visible yet also the most brutal, the climate. London's winter is not just about prolonged drizzles, but also a widespread trigger for seasonal affective disorder. Greater London currently holds the unfortunate record with 40% of its residents requiring medical intervention for this condition. But the cold doesn't just come from the weather. As many as 24% of adults have completely broken down when forced to cut back on heating to cope with energy bills. Even working from home, a dream for many, has backfired, with 80% feeling their mental health decline due to lack of movement and natural light. Even more frightening is the loneliness. London is a sea of 9 million people, but it operates in an atomized manner. Fragmented relationships, extreme personal boundaries, and a severe shortage of free community spaces. The figure of 26% of the population experiencing frequent feelings of loneliness is not just a statistic. It is a wake-up call. This tragedy is particularly cruel to the elderly. 270,000 people over 65 in the UK go a whole week without a single conversation with another person. Don't underestimate it. This prolonged isolation increases the risk of cardiovascular disease by 29%, the risk of stroke by 32%, and the risk of dementia by 25%. Alongside it is the burnout pandemic. The 2025 report shows that 91% of adults in the UK are suffering from extreme stress. 21% of workers have been forced to quit their jobs just to save their minds. The group suffering the most is none other than young people aged 18 to 24. They are trapped in a cruel cycle. 48%. The minimum income standards here have been completely shattered as the cost of housing in inner London is 3 times higher than in other cities in England. A single parent raising 2 children in this area needs a budget 50% higher just to achieve a minimum standard of living. Even the elderly cannot escape this system's trap as private rent consumes up to 48% of the minimum budget for retired couples. The tragedy is exacerbated by a legislative paradox. The Tenants' Rights Act, designed to protect residents with a rent auction ban effective from May 1, 2026, immediately triggered a ruthless backlash from the market. About 39% of landlords decided to sell off their properties and withdraw to avoid legal pressure as well as the costs of upgrading to EPC Level C energy efficiency. The consequence was an immediate collapse of supply, pushing the initial listing prices to the ceiling. A preemptive purge has taken place. A wave of no-fault evictions under Section 21 has surged as landlords race against time to evict old tenants in order to restructure prices. But the extraction of personal resources does not stop at the 4 walls of a rented house. As soon as you step out the door, London immediately surrounds you with a second network of extraction, ruthless, sophisticated, and inescapable. Welcome to the lifeblood network of London, where commuting is no longer a convenience, but a true physical torment. Imagine the public transportation system here as a giant blender. Its sole mission is to grind down every last drop of energy and every last penny from you before you even clock in at the office. Speaking of money, the shock of the fare increase from March 1, 2026, is like a bucket of cold water splashed directly onto wallets that are already gasping for breath. Transport for London has uniformly increased the prices of the Underground, DLR, and inner-city trains by 6%.